Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Dragon 5 here.
And Jacob Weil.
And Rohith.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we find ourselves in the midst of Disney's big venture into the world of streaming, having started a war in the process, we thought it'd be nice to stay up to date on the ever-growing catalog and rule on what's a must or a bust on Disney Plus.
And tonight we are discussing the Book of Boba Fett, Chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land.
Yeah.
So, how's everybody doing tonight?
Sandy, very sand coated. It's in my boots. It's everywhere. It's all coarse and uncomfortable. I'm just sick of it at this point.
I would say my skin is hydrated, but not as hydrated as being in a back tank.
Yeah, got water in your ears for days.
Mm-hmm. I'd rather. Well, I have my helmet clean, but I didn't find any coins in it.
Yep.
So, there's that.
So yeah, it's finally here. I tell you, here's how every year should end and start. And I like this pattern to keep on going, and it's likely to keep on going. We end the year on a Star Wars show, and we begin the year with Cobra Kai. That's how I like this kind of things to go on for a while.
Fair enough then.
Very rejuvenating, like a bath to take, man. It's it's just like nothing says December like Star Wars.
May used to be like Star Wars.
Yeah, used to be. Yeah.
Yep.
So thoughts. We're finally here. Rodriguez is opening the book and writing some stuff about everyone's favorite mysterioso T-faced bounty hunter Boba Fett. And yeah, I mean, so far, how are we feeling about it? Rohith, why don't you start us off? How are you feeling about the Book of Boba Fett? After the first chapter.
I think it's a definitely interesting pace. It was sort of, I don't want to use the word slow, but I think more gradual and deliberate episode in terms of pacing. It was really great. The scenes that had Boba exiting the Sarlacc Pit and the interactions with the Tusken Raiders. The scenes where it's in relative present day or in Boba's present situation with him being a crime lord are interesting as well. This episode sort of ends in a way where I'm curious, and I think based upon certain dialogue, to see what themes are being pushed forward. Um, I do, I think like the crime drama aspect of this is not fully there yet, but I think it will be more prevalent, once Boba gets to interact with the crime lords. But overall, great cinematography. Just sort of very. I think someone when I was watching a review of it, it's like there's a sort of like Gendy Tartakovsky kind of vibe where there's minimal dialogue. It's all visual based. It's all just like movement. So, we'll love to see that continue on in some shape or form throughout the season.
Isn't it nice how that worked out? Where Gendy, just kind of came on the Star Wars, and now Star Wars is trying to emulate Gendy Tartakovsky.
Well, then again, that's both of them kind of imitating Akira Kurosawa.
Well, I mean, sure, but I'm just saying, well, you're right. All drawn from the same forces, but still, it's kind of cool, though, right?
I mean, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying.
all the smart guys pulling from the same resource.
Mm-hmm.
Kurosawa.
It's a good resource to pull from.
Yeah, so I concur with Rohith. It's kind of a slow burn story. A lot of people, I've been hearing them saying like, man, it's so slow, nothing happens. Well, I would argue, guys, we got seven chapters here. I'm sure. I mean, look, I think we have enough credibility built up for Mando to give him at least an episode. I won't lie. I don't think they had done this with Mando, if memory serves. But in this case, maybe a premiere of 2 episodes might have helped it a little bit more. Who knows?
I think I would sort of respectfully contest that assertion because there is stuff that happens. It's just more character stuff than plot stuff.
Yeah.
Like the specific dialogue that I mean, I don't know if you want to jump in or want to go chronological order. The thing that really I think will define the show thematically is sort of the disagreement between Boba and Fennec on how to rule. And clearly, like they're taking inspiration from quiet dramas like The Godfather, and Boba Fett being sort of this Vito Corleone who, while is a gangster, is sort of a gangster with a code of honor, or sort of tries to have like an air of nobility and respect.
Right.
And yeah, so I think that will be it. So I think it's seeding stuff that will play out, in the next 6 episodes, and just stuff that happens the first episode is just setting that foundation.
Would I be correct in the assertion that Fennec would be more along the lines of Michael Corleone? So yeah, I mean, here's what I really liked about the episode. Before I turn it over to you, Jake, and then we'll kind of we'll go from the start and just kind of see where it takes us. And also, welcome to Donovan Martin, who's in the comments saying, I actually really love this episode, and the theme for me is top tier. Ludwig, Gorasan hasn't let me down one bit. Yeah, Gorasan's the man, folks. He really is.
Gorson did the themes of the episode. He didn't contribute the whole score though. Somebody else did.
Oh, really? I did not know that.
I mean,
Gorson's a busy guy. I guess it makes sense.
He did. I think he did the themes at least.
Okay, well, yeah, it's right. Oh, yeah, well, he did the original theme, so I'm sure that definitely factored into, like when they're okay. Well, let's get the core stuff that we're gonna need, and then we'll just kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'm trying to. I have the episode pulled up. I'm actually going to try and figure out who it was.
Right. So
Joseph Shirley.
Okay,
is the name.
Joe Shirley. Nice.
But it says themes by Ludwig Göransson, so he does have some involvement in this.
Of course. So I really like that we see Boba Fett out of his element as we get a chance to. Basically, this episode is really an excuse to get to know him. Like we're taking the opportunity to get to know him, so we understand his choices, which again will then factor into what Rohith was kind of laying out the whole show seemingly being built around Fennec and Boba Fett, who were kind of inseparable, kind of maybe diverging on like how per se they should rule Tatooine in becoming the new Jabba, becoming the new kind of daimyo, or however you like to, the big cheese, the big crime boss.
Which is in fact a real. Basically, it's a Japanese term for a feudal lord.
Which is great, by the way. I'm glad you brought that up, Jacob, because I mean, I heard down, oh man, they're going the full Kurosawa. I've been mixing it with the Godfather. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think Kurosawa did a lot of. I don't know how much of crime dramas he did. I know he did like several Shakespeare adaptations, which is probably close to this in a way. But I mean, so I don't think it might actually be close to Ron or something like that. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't make any comparisons. But that's like more based on like King Lear or something along those lines.
Okay. Anything else you want to add, or should we just transition?
I mean, I haven't given my thoughts on the episode.
Well, that's what I meant, Jacob. By all means, give your thoughts, man. How do you feel about it?
It's like I really liked the first episode. I mean, and forgive me for if I came across like not knowing what I'm talking about, but it's just there. But I really did enjoy this episode. I thought it was a bit, maybe not. It was a slow burn. I can appreciate the kind of slow burn myself, and a lot of stuff did happen. And like I really like it showed Boba's character in the flashbacks where he didn't have a lot of dialogue to work with, especially with other aliens who can't even speak English, which I really appreciated. The whole thing, it really like shows like how he came to the situation and like how hopefully it'll probably build up to where he now he met Mando in the first place, or like came to see him. So it's an interesting build up so far, and I can't wait to see how his adventures as the new daimyo of Mos Espa come into fruition. If he maintains the hold or it slips through his grasp.
All right. So first thing we got to talk about, I think the big eye catcher thing. I think so awesome we had to make it our main image because it's just such a wonderful image. The Sarlacc Pit escape.
Welcome back, concept art. The credit concept art.
Yeah.
As you guys will know, it's like I always like to use this. Ever since season 2 of Mando, I decided to use a defining image from the concept art for these thumbnails, and what better one than Mando crawling from the pit?
I was very much hoping we were going to get the concept art because I knew if I knew one way or another, Jacob, if we don't get that concept art at the end, we have to get that Sarlacc Pit image anyway. Like even if we have to throw out the whole, if there's no concept, I don't care what, we're going with that Sarlacc Pit image. So we lucked out big time.
Yep.
So basically, this is like the reason the Sarlacc Pit. I don't mean this belabor the whole. It's a Sarlacc Pit. No, the reality, it's the fact that this is like a Boba Fett bucket list thing. For that, I think it was a must for this show. Of like, okay, we don't need to dwell too much on all Boba Fett's past and everything, because again, it's kind of a it's like it's the assumed background you kind of come up with your head. I'm not saying I don't want to see cool stuff in like flashback form, but it's like, yeah, you don't need to know every little thing.
Well, and it did show snippets of Attack of the Clones too.
Exactly. So that's basically what we get is what we need. We got what was necessary. We didn't get anything that was unnecessary. And the big unnecessary thing that everyone had on their minds of Boba Fett is like the biggest complaint all Star Wars. Like, wait, we just took him out by hitting him on the jetpack by a blind guy who flew the Millennium Falcon. Really, that's what we did. And just the fact that it's we pick up from that and we actually turn to a story point where, okay, this whole story with our flashback structure and everything is we reintroduce Boba Fett and put him on a humbling journey of like we took this really cool aesthetically cool design and we retrofit it. So okay, so yeah, he did kind of go out like a punk, as many people would put it historically. So what happens next for that guy? Well, yeah, he's going to climb out of that pit in an awesome way. The survivalist in him, the survivalist, and then he's just going to be kind of he's going to kind of go into this enlightenment as he's kind of like walking through the desert, Lawrence of Arabia style, one could say.
Mhm.
And kind of thanks to the Sand People, he's going to kind of get enlightened. He's going to end up in Mando with his cross section in Mando, and kind of brings us to our story today. So this new direction is bounty hunter to crime boss on Tatooine. It's a really interesting kind of story direction for him, and I like just seeing why is he ruling in a different way. And I think the flashbacks go to show like, yeah, he's been through a lot, so he's very self-reliant because of that, and that kind of factors into how he rules as a crime boss versus like kind of the very fat Jabba the Hutt who's just gonna sit there and like move me around.
I also kind of like how it shows him as like he's because of that he's not necessarily at the top of his fighting form yet either. Like he's still regaining his fighting capabilities.
Yeah, because he escaped the fate that no one's really supposed to survive with the Sarlacc Pit. And I like that we showed it was very dangerous. Like, if he can get that oxygen, he was a goner.
Mm-hmm.
And Bell's and like, and I don't know if it's like because of like how he usually is, or if it's because he's a sharpshooter. Like just because one's an expert in sharpshooting and obviously gun combat does not mean he's good at hand to hand.
Yeah, we've seen Mando, on the other hand. He is excellent hand-to-hand because he kind of stems from at least an offshoot of the Mandalorian, where, again, Boba Fett he kind of walks that line where he's not a true... One could say he's not a true blue Mandalorian, but,
I think just the comparison is like, it's like, if you were to make like an immigrant metaphor or allegory or analogy, it's like, Din is like someone who immigrated to like another country or another place at like a young age, and thus like has still remnants of that culture or old world mentality. Whereas say for Boba Fett, like he's more equivalent to someone that like was born in the new world, but his parents or grandparents are from the old world. So like I think it's just a matter of like cultural raising. And also, I think with his father dying at such a young age, like, had his father lived, he probably would have been proficient in hand-to-hand combat because his father was training him.
Exactly.
As I said, it could be just the fact that he's also very weak, but
True.
I mean, we'll see how it turns out. It's like he hasn't really been known for hand-to-hand anyway.
So I really like the back-to-tank framing device, him healing and,
The nightmares.
Yes, I like it. It was a really good kind of reflective kind of symbol here, where you have Luke and Vader. They've been in the back to tank, so again, a lot of our kind of meaty kind of character stuff, or the big characters have been back to tanks. Is kind of the point I'm going for here. But I love that he's trying to physically heal emotional trauma. I kind of like that. Not to say he doesn't need physical healing. So I assume it's kind of like a Vader thing, where he is extremely sun damaged and digested and all that sort of stuff, and like the sand and everything didn't didn't help him right after he got out of the Sarlacc Pit. So I'm sure like he's got a little bit of kind of Vader-esque damage he's kind of healing from, just probably not a permanent sort of thing.
He probably would have been digested entirely if he didn't have that armor.
Exactly. So the armor, again, this father's armor has saved his life, which again, the symbolism of the armor between Mando and this, I like that we're still drawing a lot from that.
I did kind of like the shot where it actually showed him what it looks like when he looks out the helmet. It showed the teeth.
Yeah.
So I just thought that was pretty cool.
And also just the money shot of like seeing him crawl from the pit alive. It's an amazing shot. That's why I'm also kind of head over heels for it. Where it's like if you need one shot to satiate a bunch of people, the one shot that was missing from Star Wars, everyone wanted to see. It's there and it looks really cool. Thank you, Robert.
Robert and John.
Yeah. Okay, so just before we get into the sand people of it all, let's talk about kind of where we're at currently. So again, he wakes up from the back of the tank. You got Boba and Fennec Shand. They're running operations, which to me is the fun of the show. This is the thing I'm kind of coming to here, where it's like, okay, we get to see Boba Fett out of his element and just kind of trying to play catch up to, okay, well, you become a crime lord. That was an awesome way to end Mando season 2. Well, what do you do now? Well, I mean, people are they want protection and they're going to pay tribute. So I'm just going to sit here and just kind of yay or nay people.
What was interesting was like when he gets dressed, like he's still wearing somewhat the outfit from Mando season 2.
No, it's the same outfit, pretty
same
much.
Outfit,
Right?
okay. Yeah. But I think I don't know if like Timur Morrison just slimmed down, and so it's not as like bulky as it was in season 2, or maybe like the armor is like changed around to where it fits better on the black robe. It's either way. It's an interesting. When I saw that look last season, like I don't know about the look, but this season, like, or this show, like it looks really good, and I really love the tribute scenes because you can tell sort of Fennec wanting to go one way, and then Boba is just like, no, I think let's just cool our heels.
That also would have been a good shot for this, is it's him sitting on the throne.
Yeah, but it kind of ended Mando, so we didn't want to, But yeah, you're right though. It is a great shot. And then to your point, Rohit. I always heard people say it looked kind of weird when he had the armor on. Like in terms, he looked a little like thicker or something when he had the armor on. I mean, I never saw it personally, but you're right though. He does look a little. I assume probably in all the fight training for this season, all about him. He's maybe trimmed up a little bit, but also it is kind of like he just hurried up and put that armor on, and when he re-entered the show, and now he's been in it for a while, and also just to the point of putting the armor on. How great we gave him like a Batman 89. We gave him like a Schumacher Batman armoring up sequence. That was really cool.
Without the nipples.
Well, sure, yeah, but still the suit ups. I'm a sucker for a good suit up sequence, and that was really good.
I don't think we need any of the other stuff from that.
Right. So, of course, as Jacob, you mentioned earlier, he needs a protocol droid, and that was just a great call out of like, I
didn't mention that, but
I mean, you mentioned like the whole language thing, didn't you? Or was that Rohit?
I think that was Rohit.
Oh, sorry, Rohit. Yeah, you made an excellent point there.
I don't think I made that point.
I don't think either of us made that
I'm pretty sure it was you, Jacob, but someone's got to go with the video. Anyway, I'm trying to give you credit. Don't take it.
All I mentioned was him sitting on the throne.
All right, okay. Well, I meant way earlier during this, when you opening. Okay,
are you talking about he didn't understand English? I thought
that's what I meant.
I was talking about when he was at the camp.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Well, I goofed that one up. Regardless,
but still, he doesn't understand alien language.
Yes, I always love like, what do you think you meant by? So the fact like, you don't have a protocol droid. It's like, you're gonna just Fennec's like doing the best she can. It's like, he's really happy.
He's talking something about friendship.
Yeah, like something about friendship. Yeah.
Even Fennec didn't understand what he said.
I just love just giving Boba Fett these mundane problems. He's kind of getting used to like this new lifestyle. I mean, the best analogy I have for the direction I think this is going is it's kind of like it's like part 1 of Breaking Bad season 5. When basically Walter White is, he's the boss now, but he's before he's gone like kind of fully kind of full evil, if you will. It's before he's really kind of lost himself in part 2.
You're goddamn
it's
right.
It's a DIY crime lord sort of situation. It's like, all right, I start up. It's me and my friend. We're gonna try to lord over some territory, and then we'll just build up from there. It's a
It's
start.
like Boba Fett clearly has experience working with others or working under others, but not working above them.
Yeah, like I just love like giving them this experience of like, oh, I used to work for that guy.
It's like imagine it's even weirder for him.
Yes, yes. So that's all. That's just a lot of fun. The whole Daimyo power dynamic flip and everything. Also, apparently, Rodriguez was the Trashadoan guy with like the threatening compliment.
It's like even when paying a compliment, it sounds like they're being threatening.
All right, let's talk about a guy who's really stirring the pot this episode. Let's talk about the representative for the mayor of Mos Espa. Let's talk about the Major Domo, I believe is what his title is.
It's like, oh yeah, that was an interesting fella, that Twilight guy.
Yeah, the guy who works for Mok Shayas, who's the mayor, basically the underling of the mayor, Major Domo, whatever. Yeah, sure.
Yep.
So, God, so I love Boba Fett dealing with the dishonorable political landscape. Where he's a guy of kind of a simple operation. Where again, he's hired for a job. Very Mike. Use another Breaking Bad. He's a very Mike Ehrmantraut kind of bounty hunter, assumedly, where you pay him, he gets the job done, and it's like not like full on kind of like warrior code of the Mandalorian, but it's a business trade of like, okay, you're hired to do a job, you do it, you keep your word. This case, though, with a political landscape, we're full of people who like expect things in return. They don't follow their word. They're really kind of like there's a lot of duplicity going on there. So it's throwing Boba Fett into the deep end of the pool like they're at least so far dipping a toe into that deep end.
It's I think another analogy. It's like Boba Fett's like Mr. Wolf from Pulp Fiction, where he comes in when there's a problem, fixes it, is a memorable character, leaves.
Yeah,
it's like what if Mr. Wolf like actually ran like a crime family and has to run day-to-day operations and manage people, from top to bottom.
Yeah. And like you have like the false pleasantries and the misunderstanding runner with this whole it's an understandable misunderstanding, but no, I'm actually here for your tribute. Well, not in so many words. Fennec has to. I love Fennec having to explain this to Boba Fett. And I think the line of the episode. I don't know if you guys have a different one. I think the line of the episode is, "But I'm the Crime Lord. He's supposed to pay me."
It's like Boba's still trying to figure out how this whole thing works. It's like, as I said, he has experience working under others, not above them.
If that's not the line of the episode, I know. Would you like me to kill him? Like, no, when it's just she's so good. I mean, whether it's on the Bad Batch or in person, she's wonderful as this character.
And and she's like, kill. He's like, no, do not kill.
Right.
It's like, yeah, she's good in
so
Bad Batch as well.
Yes, let me ask you guys this. This is just kind of a broad spectrum thing that I wonder. This is an observation I had. I wonder how it's going to continue in the next 6 installments. So I think Boba Fett's problem right now in starting out, he's just starting out as a crime lord, and it seems rather sparse and kind of quiet in Jabba's palace. There's like no menagerie. We mentioned a menagerie. I don't know if we still have a menagerie. We don't know what's happened since Bib Fortuna took over.
He doesn't have the Rancor anymore.
We know that for sure. Yeah. So
and obviously, is the Sarlacc still alive? Or
well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, he did kind of incinerate, but who knows if that thing can die? It's giant. I guess it can.
I feel like if it died, there would have been a scene indicating that. But
yeah, that's like as they usually say. If it didn't have it on screen or it's not mentioned, it didn't happen.
My guess is like when he was climbing out of the Sarlacc Pit, if it was moving, it was probably still alive. That's my guess.
Well, we'll find out. Well, maybe we'll find out. Maybe we won't.
Yeah. All right. Anyway, so
if it's not important to the story, who cares?
But this is what I'm saying, though. It's the fact that it seems to me, at least by this first episode, he's got no connections.
Mm-hmm.
He no forces or menagerie, and he's and no reputation as a crime lord because he's just brand spanking new, like on like he just shot the last guy and he's sitting on the throne now, and it just seems to be he's vulnerable to a power vacuum, which we very much see by the end of the episode here. And again, this is where I call back to the Breaking Bad thing, where he's starting out as like the boss, but again he's like it's like Walter White having to pay the guys in the previous administration. There is a drawback here of like, yeah, I mean, if you're walking, you only got two Gamorrean guards. You got Fennec Shan. That's awesome. Don't get me wrong, but that's like three, and you're trying to shake some babies and kiss some hands right now, and it's not going so well.
Plus, he's not really following the traditional customs either.
Exactly. So this could lead. This could be trouble for Boba Fett if he doesn't. I'm imagining he's going to have to grow his empire majorly. Would you guys agree?
I mean, he did mention that Jabba did have a lot of vassals, which basically means that he had a lot of people that would help him run his empire.
Yeah,
and obviously it seems like they scattered when either he died or Bib Fortuna took over. So that means
assumedly.
So that means Boba definitely has his work cut out for him when it's going to be maintaining this quite frankly large criminal empire that Jabba had.
It's no wonder that he was such an easy target this episode. Well, it's just one guy. He's walking around, which would never happen. So let's just go out and get him.
I think also like him going out. I think his mentality is that he's so
He probably thinks he's untouchable.
Well, that, and also I think he has like his sense of honor and simpleness. I think the whole notion of the sort of the politic and everything, like everyone hides their motives, and then for people like that, they're very like paranoid and want to keep their guards up. And for like Boba, he doesn't live like that. He's just like, I go in. If someone wants to take me on, I'll take him. And no ifs, no buts about it. And he just doesn't have like that kind of like sense of, oh, I need to guard my life, my interest, whatever. But now that he has something to lose, like with this burgeoning empire, like Boba has to be sort of more smart about it and not be just sort of the lone mercenary that he used to be.
Right. Okay, real quick. Atomic Beast in the comments, he said, "R.I.P. Sandy, the stormtrooper that died so Boba Fett could live. Well, he died again so Boba Fett could live
again."
Yes. Then Atomic Beast goes on to say, if that one episode from Star Wars Visions was canon, I wonder what happened to that music band. Yeah, so there was the musical band that Boba Fett was like one of the very few canon pools they had in that whole show with between him and Jabba and a few of those sparse others.
They probably are touring some other outer rim planet or in another galaxy.
Who knows? Maybe Boba remembered who they were and allowed them and continued to sponsor them.
Maybe. I mean, he was enjoying that music. He was tapping his foot. He was, oh, those guys are really good.
I think you would give them a chance. Yeah. Either that he would offer them the chance or let them go. Who knows?
There'll be a musical episode of the Book of Boba Fett down the line where Boba joins the band, and then we just see Tamara Morrison rock out.
Oh yeah. But anyway, so I do like I wonder how this is going to turn out. The impression I got is he walks. I like seeing how he's different from Jabba and he's walking on his own 2 feet as a point of pride. We see he has face-to-face dealings with the cantina owners versus just like sending a guy like a Greedo or whoever to collect his debts. And I'd like to think he's earning points for later. It's either glass half full, which is he's earning points with these guys. Like, okay, new approach. He seems rather open, not so much menacing like Jabba the Hutt was. And on the flip side, could be, man, this guy is an easy target. Let's give him a false sense of security and scam him, or like tip off some guys to attack him with energy shields. Which, by the way, how did you guys feel about the energy shield kind of attack thing?
That was pretty interesting because I kind of like rendered the close combat with it, especially with his missiles, kind of moot.
Yeah, I think someone I remember seeing comments like, "Why didn't Boba use his jetpack?" And I think the only response that I found make sense was that if he jetpacked away, he would be Fennec Shan relatively defenseless for all the people to close in. Or maybe he just hasn't doesn't want to use his jetpack. His last time it didn't end well for him. Or if his jetpack is working.
That's a good point. Yeah, I
just remember Tamura Morrison can actually sing quite well, so if he's rocking
oh,
out, would be a good idea. It would actually be fun.
should have used that on the assailants.
I can sing, guys.
But here, I'm really iffy on the energy shield fight. But I mean, the point, it's. I mean, here's the thing. The point is to demystify Boba Fett, which I think was accomplished far better in the flashbacks. That's why I'm kind of wondering, do we really have to take him out with shields? But then again, the earlier point you guys have made is like, yeah, Boba Fett might have a weakness with close combat because he's always about kind of taking people out from with the missile or with his blasters. He's kind of a long range guy. So I never considered that until you guys brought it up. It just felt like, yeah, so I'm getting the sense that people like myself, but I think people more so were like, really? It's been all this time in the first episode. He's gonna he's gonna have to go up against bigger guys than this, but a bunch of guys with shields, like the shields from the third act of Black Panther, are gonna box him in.
I mean, part of it's also that he's recovering strength, right? So I
Yeah.
think I mean, people
I mean,
probably just gave me. It's like, you know what? If we get up close to him, he may not be fast or as agile as say Mando. So
and he is only human.
Exactly, which that's the thing. So I mean, I think upon further reflection, I think I'm a little more forgiving of it. But I'm iffy on it. But yeah,
I mean, Mando is too technically. Well, I mean, I think he's technically human. He might be Mandalorian, but they are.
oh no, well he's humanoid at least, so we know that.
Oh, it's like Mandalorians are technically human, aren't they?
yeah, man, yeah, like they're human. Mandalore is just more of a culture, not like a race.
Yeah, that's the thing. So by that logic, technically it could be any race underneath the helmets, but in Din Djarin's case and in Boba Fett's case, they're humanoids. So I mean, that's
Well, still, seems like he does have the human limitations even within the Star Wars universe that he has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So speaking of the flashback stuff, I'm sorry, real quick, because we kind of glazed over again. I love the Gamorrean guards, how he spared their lives and they saved his bacon during that fight. That was really nice.
Sure, it did pay off in the long run. Like he had loyal guards.
So see, now when you talk about like paying respect and all that, I believe that with him being like deferential and giving that credit to the Tusken Raider kid, that the Tusken Raiders will be on his side and will come in the last episode and like the big finale fight.
I mean, it was kind of hinted that he was on their side when the leader handed him the water.
So, the bridge into that, and then talk about all the Tusken Raider stuff in the flashbacks. So that's the thing. Given the fact when we see Boba Fett in Mandalorian, but remember he's wearing like the all black robes right before he has, right before he dons the armor. Even after he dons the armor, he's using the gaffy stick.
But we did see the all that in the Marshall episode.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. You know what I mean. We saw him at the end with that, but we saw him use it in the Boba Fett episode. And when that happened, he's using these gaffy sticks, which are Tusken Raiders' weapons. So I really like that. The impression I got is that with the robes and with the whole new look and everything, I'm getting a sense, this interaction that we're seeing unfold in flashback was a really big, like he was taken in. I think he gave him a new outlook on everything and how to reinvent himself. He went from just kind of maybe a one-track minded bounty hunter to, I think that's what facilitated the more Zen-like, you know what? Maybe we don't just rule through intimidation, fear, and just like maybe we bring kind of a new element to getting what we want. It's less,
rule with respect.
Exactly, ruling with respect. I think a lot of that came from the Sand people, perhaps. That's the vibe I'm getting with like just the fact that he adopted their weapons and their look. I'm assuming that the culture probably rubbed off on him in a positive way and kind of opened his outlook. Kind of Pulp Fiction style, one could say. With the Marcellus Wallace thing.
Yeah, it's like the sort of the Last Samurai thing with Tom Cruise.
That's the better example. Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just first of all, it's the makeup on Tamar Morrison. He was all sand chapped and everything. Looked terrible. I mean, terrible now was supposed to look terrible.
Yeah, no, he visually looked a lot very similar to how Darth Vader looked at the end of Return of the Jedi, and with the back attack, like it's.
And the nerve of those Jawas.
Yeah, I love the runner with the Jawas we've had through all stores, man. The Jawas are just these dirty little thieves, man. They just take everything and
It's like they see him collapse in the desert, they steal his stuff, then we try to take it back, they knock him out.
And of course, all that links up perfectly with the Marshal, so that was great.
And you get that back with Mando. So
Yep.
the Marshal finds the armor, and that's how it works.
The creature effects I thought were really good, like that weird kind of guard dog, alien guard dog lizard thing.
You mean the one with the Tuscan child?
Yeah, the one with yeah.
The credits call it a massive, like the captions Massiff.
Okay, so a massive.
Yes.
Yeah, the massive was cool. It looked very practical, even though I'm sure there was like an effect worked on there somehow. But yeah,
they might have like done like a little like a puppet or something.
I'd like to think so because it looked that good.
It's funny.
Mainly because the main reason I think that's because either that because of the whole sand movement, which is like because from what I've seen is like very hard. Sand like that is very hard to pull off with CG. So it's like either it's very very good CG work or there's a puppet or somebody like walking on like sticks or something to try and capture that effect.
Yeah. Two things. One, massive. It just sounds like they just took mastiff, like the dog breed, and just took the T out.
It's entirely possible.
It sounds right, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's its official name, but that's what the caption said.
No, I don't dispute that. And the second thing is like I think for the dog, like I wouldn't put it past for like it's maybe like a hybrid situation. Because I do understand why I'm playing sand, but I think like for example, like Corridor Crew, the people that analyze CGI, they made a point about water splashing when a character steps on it, and that being like Steppenwolf and like how hard that is, the complexity of it. So I think for the dog it's being a mix of puppet and CGI, and then for the other monster that's like more of like a Harryhausen like reference. It's definitely
it's a huge Harryhausen reference, man. I know Rodriguez loves Harryhausen. Spy Kids 2, he threw out the whole homage to the Harryhausen kind of like skeletons. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I nicknamed that thing Goro. I've known if you guys catch my reference there.
No, we got your reference.
Mortal. I don't even like Mortal. I don't dislike Mortal Kombat. I just don't really play it that much.
But yeah, no, it was a great pull, and again, very on brand and kind of that. I mean, not precisely Kurosawa, but it feels like it's a great old school pull, very kind of Joseph Campbell-esque kind of pull, one could say.
So, what was it more of a reference to in regards to Harryhausen?
Well, I mean, yeah, go on.
The creature that you call that your nickname is Goro. Like at least the way it moves, it's very much like similar to sort of the animatronic, movement of the Harryhausen monsters.
Yeah, like like the Harryhausen stop motion kind of monster effects.
I was just kind of wondering if it was like you meant like anything specific.
I mean, I can't call it to mind precisely, but it's very much like it's a big old homage to what the kind of thing Harryhausen would do.
I mean, it looks like kind of one of those things that belongs on that board game in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah, Jacob, I had the same thought watching it. It's like just like off it, like wouldn't that it looks kind of like one of the monsters they put on the hull of the game.
So, which was stop motion in the original movie, so that works.
It's all relative. Also, I don't know if you guys got a kick out of this. It might have just been me. I don't know. I love that the Rhodian, but the kind of the Greedo-esque creature, alien creature, betrays Boba Fett every time he tries to escape. It's just very unhelpful to him. I think it's just saying, with everyone, yeah.
Oh, you mean like when he's trying to escape, he's like sounds the alarm.
Yeah, and then when they're trying to like, hey, don't dig there, and of course, oh guys, he's attacked by the alien, and they're both tethered together, kind of like kind of Defiant One style.
And then he dies.
Yeah, so I love that. I like to think that's kind of a nod to everyone, like remember back in the day, everyone made out like Boba Fett to be Han Solo's arch enemy, and I mean to many extents, I mean that's essentially true. Where it's like these two guys are always very for what he did to him, freezing him in the carbonite he was sent after him with Jabba and everything. I just love the fact that we've paralleled them here. Like, well, he had a run-in with a Greedo, and so did Boba Fett. And neither ended well, and they both ended with the Rhodian dead.
It's kind of funny how like the Rhodian never like responded to anything Boba said to him. until he like threatens to choke him with the chain. He's like, "Whoop, whoop, 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 whoop." It's like, oh, you understood that.
That in itself, great payoff because the way we killed that monster, the Harryhausen monster, little Jabba-esque, little slave Leia choke.
Yeah, and the Rhodian gets crushed, and you can tell he's died by the way his like fingers, by his hand like collapses. It's like I saw it, I was like, he did.
Also, really nice. And again, I think I'd like to think not by accident. We open on young Boba Fett, losing his father, and we see. I think Boba Fett has a soft spot for younglings because he sees himself. He sees himself in them, which is why he was showing some attitude towards the Tusken Raider youngling when he was like, "Hey, I'm thirsty. I need a drink."
Even refers to it as a youngling too.
Exactly, and then he then he kind of saves its life by choking the life out of that monstrosity. And of course, he's taken in like, okay, you're no longer a prisoner. You're kind of a visitor. We're cool. Here, have some water rocks.
And the Tusken younglings the Tusken child or youngling is like hey, look what this guy did.
Yeah.
And then the elder like rewards Boba by handing him some much deserved water.
Yeah, I interpreted it as the Tusken Raider kid was taking credit, and then Boba was letting him do that, and then that was sort of something that the Tusken Raider patriarch, or I assume it's a patriarch, took notice of and appreciated that, or gave respect to it, and gave him water.
Well, I mean, it probably could be interpreted either way.
Rohit, I didn't think about that, but I love that interpretation.
I mean, that is another good idea. That's a good alternative.
Because I feel like for me, that's goes with sort of what Boba's trying to do as a crime lord. Like he's going out of respect. He's not sort of I'm going to kill everyone in the room and I'm going to cause a bloodbath. Like he's more, gives deference to others and lets others,
Well, it's not like we could understand what the Tuskens are saying anyway.
Dang it, and that's the point that we're harkening back to that Curacao of it all. Or you don't need all the details, and you can have multiple interpretations so long as the important one kind of comes across, which is the character progression.
And that the Tuskens either if the kid took credit and the elder respected him, or that the kid was praising him and he got respect that way. It's just the other way. The Tuskens now respect him.
Exactly. Which again, I guess fundamentally is Boba Fett. It's gonna be a rough ride, first rough transition, but you know what? It might work out. He
at least has the respect of the Raiders. I mean, who knows? He might lose that in the next few episodes for all we know.
It is entirely possible. By the way, here's I'm sorry, what are you gonna say?
Well, that's interesting you say that because I have this sort of idea that considering how The Godfather ends, I'm just wondering if Boba Fett throughout the season will gradually have to sort of make compromises and do stuff that, just that will just be on Hanta's conscience. Like maybe he has to kill Fennec Shan, or maybe he has to raid a Tusken village, just actual awful stuff in order to build his empire.
Behead the beloved banthas of somebody else.
So, two theories I've kind of heard that are really interesting. One is just I don't know how much something I've heard is something I'm curious about. Do you guys think Omega will pop up in the Boba Fett show?
Not in the first season. I think she will definitely show up in the second season.
Do you think we're getting a second season?
I think so because considering the precedent with crime dramas like Boardwalk Empire, Sopranos. I'm pretty. This premise definitely has longevity because I think it can end. I think the season can end with him being a more established crime lord, and the second season is maybe stuff he's established his role, now he has to keep it, and then Omega comes in that throws a wrench at things, or alternatively, he's established his role in Tatooine, but Boba has ambitions to expand, and then maybe expands his empire to other planets, and then encounters Omega there.
And it could be in between every season of Mando.
Okay.
But if we see Omega, we would at least have to explain what happened to the Bad Batch.
See, that's the thing. That makes me think. I'm pulling. Honestly, I'm pulling for a season 2 because I think Omega would be introduced easier there because then we could dedicate time to. Okay, so we know we've done the whole power transition thing with Boba Fett. We've told his story. Now let's introduce Omega, kind of summarize her story, and kind of go from there. With, of course, Omega does connect to Fennec Shand and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
I
So
wouldn't be surprised if, depending upon like how well she was received.
I
Like,
never heard a bad word about Omega. So I
no,
think
but
she be
like,
received.
Oh yeah, even like some of the people who didn't like Bad Batch, that she was one of the best parts of the show.
Yeah.
no, but I'm talking about like the live act. Like, I could see it be a situation where if she's like very well received, like the live action actress playing an older Omega on season 2 of Book of Boba Fett, that it'll be spin off to her own show called Omega, and then that's where you can get maybe the older like Bad Batch characters who are left remaining. You know,
You
show
know,
up.
off the top of my head, I'm gonna toss out an Omega. I don't know how good a throw this is. Okay, I'm just gonna say because I know her name's been thrown around to replace another character. I think the better move might be for what if Lucy Lawless played Omega?
Well,
Be an
I,
older Omega, which I mean Boba
I
Fett's older, so
well, considering like Tamara, considering she's like the genetic clone or like sister of Boba Fett, I would think someone who's like a Maori, Samoan, or Polynesian, origin or descent would be a better fit. Like, I think there's like plenty of like those kind of actresses that that are maybe up and rising or or good actresses, but just haven't been in much like stuff.
I think you're right. I was thinking of the voice before I kind of took that into consideration. I think you're
Yeah,
right.
no,
Yeah,
I think there's like I think there's at least one or two of the sand snack. It's not like there's one sand snake person that I think is like Polynesian or like Maori or whatever that could be brought in. Or heck, like maybe whatever Taika Waititi films like have any Maori, Samoan, or Polynesian characters in there, like just take that action. Hey, you want to beat Star Wars? Boom.
it's a good point. All right, so the
I
other
mean,
thing
he's making a Star Wars movie himself.
that is true. It's very true. So, do you guys think Crimson Dawn's gonna? Am I saying that right? Crimson Dawn. It's
Yeah,
the criminal out. Okay. Yeah. Do you guys think Crimson Dawn's gonna factor in this season as like a threat to Boba Fett and everything?
I think there will be a tease, and I would not be surprised if they're the main. I don't think they'll be the main antagonists for this season. I think they're going to be teased throughout the season, and then however things end up, they'll be the antagonist for the second season. Um, and since Darth Maul has passed, as evidence of Rebels, I would not be surprised if, say,
Well, didn't he
Akira.
die? Didn't he die in Rebels?
yeah, that's what I said. He died because he died in Rebels. The only
Oh.
character that can then show up, to represent the organization is Kira. And maybe they might get just a random older British actress to play that part, considering Emilia Clarke plays that part like the very definitely at least a decade and a half or maybe
Well, that's not. Well, yeah, you're right. Sorry, yeah, you're right. It's a decade because that was about 10 years before A New Hope. So add 5 years, over 15. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's roughly.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've. Something really important. Oh god, we have to mention this before we end. Max Rebo lives.
Oh, and the robot that looks like Captain Rex too.
Yeah, it's an RX unit. Very much like kind of a yeah. That's a big thing. We finally have seen the Captain Rex robot integrated. Whether it is him or not, probably not. But still, yeah. The RX units kind of included like what we're doing at Galaxy's Edge and everything. We're making them DJs. In this case, I think weren't the RX units running the games in this?
I think he's doing. I thought he was a bartender.
Well, it was either a bartender or he was like running one of the casino games. I don't know.
I have to rewatch it. I think the guy. I mean, check it. I think he's in the concept art. I know that.
Yeah, Rohit. I was. I don't know if you were on this bandwagon too. Of like, come on, let's let Max Rebo live. The only kind of band member we want to see survive. Max Rebo.
I was ambivalent either way, but it's cool. It's cool for that character to survive.
Yeah.
It's kind of speaking of the Shield guys. It's kind of interesting that in the actual episode, shields are red, but they're actually blue in the concept art.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about concept art. It's not always.
And you're right. And you're right. He was playing that. He was the card dealer.
Huh, there's the dealer. Okay,
So it's like you were right. I was wrong.
that's fair. It's it's Cantina stuff.
Yep, he could probably do both.
All right. Okay, so let me I'll remind folks of this before we shout some lovely folks out, and we can wrap this puppy up. And you guys have anything else you want to say about the episode before I do that?
I think we covered everything.
Yeah, that's same.
All right, so guys, starting next week, we're going to be putting up the poll for episodes 1 and 2. So trying to get as many people to kind of evenly vote as possible. So basically, you can vote on like out of 5 how much you liked this episode and how much you liked episode 2. And we'll hopefully kind of in a better manner, we're going to reveal like what episodes got the most kind of popularity and kind of traction, like what episodes kind of went over best with people, that sort of thing. Anyway, so just keep an eye on the community page for the polls, and by all means vote and just kind of like interact, and we'll shout out the results by the end of the season. Okay, so let's thank some of our commenters. Let's thank Donovan Martin,
All right, Donovan.
Atomic Beast,
and some Russian person.
That guy. All right.
And we don't know how. Sorry, we have no idea how to pronounce your name.
Sorry about that.
Or whatever you typed. But
yeah.
But thank you for commenting anyway.
All right, that'll do it for us this week as we holster our remotes till the next installment calls for the draw. Mano y mano, just Plus and Us.
You want me to kill him?
On the Cronwell, supposed to give me. He's supposed to pay me.